Good morning. Just check and see if comments are working. So in excitement for today's launch, I wanted to ask you guys a question and have you put your answer here in the comments. Hold on one second. Facebook is not my friend right now. Here we go. Hey, Carl. Hi, Lynn. So in excitement for today's launch, I wanted to ask a quick question. What do you, where you live, what do you call a picnic? Do you call it a picnic, a cookout, a barbecue? And the reason I ask is something about me is I grew up in Boston in the South Shore, and I didn't move here to Connecticut until I was a teenager. When we got invited to our first picnic as a teenager, we packed our picnic basket and our picnic blanket and showed up to realize it's a cookout. So what do you call it where you live? A barbecue? Let's see, here we go. Hey, Holly. Picnic, Collier, Connecticut through and through. Cookout, that was what we called it. So, little fun activity, but more so because it's important to be mindful of your mindset is different than someone else's, and what you're talking about can be different than someone else. And so that does relate to, good morning, that does relate to what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to be super fast because I know everyone's really excited for today's launch, but we're going to talk about your mindset in relation to your inner circle. So another thing about me, I'm a teacher on pause. And so, cookout is different than a picnic. That's what we thought too. So defining your inner circle is going to be important for when you're like mentally engaging with these ideas, because what you define as your inner circle will be very different than someone else. And there is no right or wrong answer. Like, you could debate there's a wrong or right answer about picnics, but when it comes to inner circle, there is no wrong or right answer. But it's important that you really stop and think about who or what constitutes your inner circle. So if you're watching the replay, you might want to pause and see this little flyaway is driving me crazy. You might want to pause and think about what you think of as your inner circle. And then I'm going to challenge you twofold. If this is something you're having a conversation in the future with your downline, your side sisters, or even in your personal life, maybe make sure you're talking about the same things. So your inner circle, it's going to look differently for different people, because my brother and I grew up in the same house, raised by the same parents. What we call our inner circles are so different. I'm, not that I'm more selective, but I'm just more private with my inner circle. I'm very open with my acquaintances or my friends, but my inner circle to me is very small, whereas to my brother, it's going to be huge because we just view it differently. Your inner circle could be your family, your friends, your coworkers, your mom group, your virtual friends, your customers. It could be people you would assume are in your inner circle, or it might not be. It's going to be different for a lot of you. And for some people, your inner circle is going to be one circle for your personal life, professional, and for a lot of people, it overlaps. So your inner circle is super closely linked to your mindset. Well, that's pretty obvious to most people, but I don't think we often give credit how much weight your inner circle can impact you. We spend a lot of time talking, especially in social selling, how your vibe attracts your tribe. So you hear it all the time. I mean, I say it all the time. I know, that's a thing everyone says. Your vibe attracts your tribe. But it's true. And why is that, though? Excuse me. It's because of energy, right? So your energy, when you're talking about your vibe attracting your tribe, your energy, how you make people feel, that draws people to you. And on the same side, when you're in a mood or someone else in a mood, it kind of pushes people away. It's polarizing. You want to be that magnet for that positive energy to attract those people. Conversely, I don't think we often pause maybe and give credit to how your inner circle, your tribe, impacts your energy and therefore your mindset. It'd be super, super easy if I sat here and said, only surround yourself with positive people. Only surround yourself with people who motivate you, who excite you, who support you. That would be a really quick and easy thing to say and be done. That's kind of like that Instagram versus reality. That's not going to be super helpful for a lot of people. You can't always just be like, okay, bye. And it would be super easy for most people watching to be like, oh, that sounds nice, but that's not for me. I don't have time for that. Maybe later. I'm super optimistic. but I'm also very realistic. Life is messy. Turned off my sounds. Life is messy. So that's why step 1 is really important in defining who is your inner circle or what expectations you have for your inner circle. Because I'm going to challenge you to really flex and think of something difficult, of how your inner circle has strengths and weaknesses, and they might even have barriers for you. Yes, Leslie, people aren't always positive and negative. It's not that cookie cutter, right? Oh, awesome. That's like kind of perfectly what we're talking about next. And I get it. Like, it's really easy to try to talk about this stuff, but it kind of sounds harsh, right? Sorry, one of my customers keeps messaging me. I thought my sounds were off. That's harsh. I'm talking about your people, your weaknesses or your barriers of your people. Well, we've talked about how, in relation to social media, if there's people who aren't motivating you or that are toxic, that you can unfollow them, that you can snooze them. And that's an excellent strategy, in relation to your social media. And that could be part of your people in your inner circle. So looking at strengths and weaknesses. The strengths of your inner circle is those people who inspire you. They motivate you. They cheer you on. They listen. Those are the people you want to lean into. And of course, you want to surround yourself with them as much as possible and take and give. Make sure you're getting back. Don't just be a taker. But also there's the weaknesses, right? Some people in your inner circle are negative. They're disinterested. They only want to talk about they're very egocentric, what's interesting for them. Some of your inner circle, they might doubt you. And for different people, depending on your comfort level, how you respond to that or how you address that barrier is going to be different. Bless and release. I love that. If you're filling my cup, there's a seat at the table all day for that. So yes, so for some things and a lot of things you can just bless and release, let it go. You can unfollow, unfriend, snooze. And it's not always that easy though. For example, someone in your inner circle, I'll use me as an example because I don't want to think of talking about them. It's like I'm a caregiver for someone older and younger that are very definitely in my inner circle. And there's so many strengths there, but there are some, if I'm being very honest, maybe a weakness or a barrier, right? Because sometimes that's overwhelming or it kind of can be a little exhausting. Well, I'm not going to bless and release those people versus that friend that always wants something. They're texting you, they're calling you, and it's always about them, and it's always negative, and it's like, that energy vampire. Well, those people you can bless and release, or you can set boundaries. Maybe you earn times, or I have someone in my life, I set a timer. When the timer goes off, I have to go. Because it's just too much. So what about those things that, aren't always filling your cup and are barriers, because that starts to impact your mindset? I'll give an example. So I earned the trip that some of our amazing teammates are on right now, and I couldn't go because I'm a caregiver. That really could have impacted my mindset. And I had someone else, why would you want to go? Oh, you'd leave your kids. All of those things. My mindset, how I chose to let that impact me. Okay. I definitely pulled closer to the people who were like, congratulations, that's amazing. How exciting, you should be proud. But I also put a strategy in place. I know, I won't use names, some people on here know me. There are some people that I can't bless and release, but I have boundaries in my inner circle. And you have to counteract that with positive. So I could have been poor me. Why bother earning the next trip? Could be envious of the people who are there or resentful of either who's there or why I couldn't go. But instead, I poured back into my inner circle and said how I was so excited and I was so proud of myself. And also, wow, I got something for not going that I was able to use and to benefit from. But also my inner circle filled my cup back up because I have made sure I've surrounded myself with people who balance. And I totally didn't write down my number, but for every negative, you need X amount of positives. I'll put the number in the comments after because I don't want to flip pages. So this is how I counteracted that. I have in my inner circle an amazing team. I had someone on the trip who I worked really hard to earn the trip with. Like we ran together to earn that trip. She gave me like that POV video of, she's like, what did you want to see? She sent me that video, and it wasn't like oh, I'm here and you're not. It's like, look at this. And we had a moment. Yes, it's 7-1. Thank you, Amy. So I had a side sister who I've aligned myself with, and she sent me that. I had another friend who earned the trip and who couldn't go. And we had a virtual beach party. Like we sent each other funny memes and like silly selfies, sent each other a song back and forth real quick. That was my second one. One of my mentors, our upline, has become a good friend. She already told me, let's plan now how you can earn the next trip. And I did. I earned the next trip. And Colleen's on here right now, one of my teammates. She's already working on me. And Barb's at work, and Barb works with me. How are we going to get you to go? What can we do at home now to see if maybe I can go on the next trip that I earned? And my family. We went to the beach last week when my kids were on vacation. And we had a beach day. And my mom's like, pose, pretend you're in Punta Cana. You know, and of course it wasn't the same, but we had fun. Why do I share so many? Because like Amy just said, you need 7 to counteract that 1. So yes, there were things in my inner circle that could have made that me not going very negative. And I'm not going to lie. Of course I had a lick my wounds moment. Of course I want to be there. But my inner circle shows up for me in all of those different ways I mentioned. And that's just one example. But I didn't really engage in conversation with the people of, oh, you wouldn't have gone anyways, or, oh, why bother earning the trip if you're not going to go? Those people, those conversations, I don't give attention to. It's not feeding me. It's not filling my cup. And someone had said some people are positive and negative. People will come and go. You change. People change. So this is something you have to constantly reevaluate and look at. It's kind of like weight doesn't come on easily. Like I'm a plus size gal. I've been like way higher. I've been lower. It doesn't come on like this. So it doesn't come off like this. So anytime you're thinking of mindset or your personal relationships, you don't just go to the gym once and you're where you want to be. It's kind of work. So you tackle what you can. It's definitely a challenge. You tackle what you can, right? So if you start with 1, then you do 2. So you might not do all of these things at once. So you control what you can control. And that comes down to probably the biggest, most important part of your inner circle. And that's you. You are part of your inner circle. You show up for you. You rely on you. And you kind of get to control, you're that coffee filter of what's going to go in your cup. So if you want a strong cup of coffee, you're brew a strong cup of coffee. You're not going to let those weak beans in. If you want flavor, you're going to add flavor. I don't like hazelnut. Hazelnut's not coming near my cup. There are certain people that will never be in my inner circle. They might be in my life because I might not have a choice. We all have those people. They will never be my inner circle. They're not going to be the one that I share my big wins with or my big failures with, my big feelings. They don't get those things because I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm a pretty bomb cup of coffee. And so, thank you, Leslie. You aren't going to have coffee at my table. I'll smile with you. I'll ask you how your day is, but you might not know the goodness that's in my cup because you don't feel it. That's okay. So when you have time, I challenge you to think of who, that is a love language for a lot of us, I think. I love my coffee. It is what it is. Define what or who is in your circle, your inner circle. What do you need from them? What boundaries do you have for them? Maybe what boundaries do you need to give yourself permission? They can be great motivators. Do you need to give yourself permission to change that? Or do you need to pour into your own cup? And then look at what strengths do you get from your inner circle? How can you find more people that give you those things? How can you give back? And what needs to maybe, if you can remove it, remove it. If you can snooze it or pause it, or if not, just put a boundary on it. You know, how much are you going to let that into your life? Because I'm going to be realistic. I know there are some things you cannot change, but you can change how you respond to it. That you are always in control of. And that is why you are such a huge part of your inner circle. So my biggest takeaway is, if someone is an energy vampire, they suck the life out of you. They suck the motivation, that drive, that positive energy. Keep them as far away from you as possible. And even if you can't keep them that far away from you, you can keep them out of your inner circle. And surround yourself with those Energizer bunnies. And someone's Energizer bunny might look different than someone else's. Like, you might like that big energy. Good for you. You might like that quiet energy. That's awesome too. Yes, Amy. Yes, you can't control some things. And for some of us, that's super hard. I'm not going to say it's not. But you can control how you respond to that. Be your coffee filter. Only let in your cup what you want, what gives you that goodness. So, I'm going to end with a challenge. So, in the event for today's training, or for today's event, I challenge you to drop something that celebrates you or your inner circle or the vibe you want. Anything that represents, like, when you think of your inner circle, what you're proud of, what you bring to the table, what you want from them. It could be a gift, a quote, anything. And then I'm going to double challenge you. Take something that's from your albums, your saved on your phone, something that's sitting on your desk, or something you see if people, so care to choose to drop them in the comments, and post something to your story and tag someone. Because as much as you want to fill your, vibe with your inner circle, sometimes you need to pour into them so they can pour back. So it's a give and take. Don't let everyone you give back too. So define that inner circle. What are the strengths and weaknesses? Control what you can control. If there's a barrier, what plan are you putting in place to counteract that? If you know you have a chronic negative, what positives are you putting out and what are you expecting of others? Pull those people in, hold them close, and have a fabulous day. And I know you're all going to crush today. Thanks for hanging with me.